In this video, I want to talk about something that seems to be a little known in the home gardening and homesteading community. I've been watching many channels on YouTube, and even the interviews with seed suppliers have failed to mention this very important aspect of plant growth. It will enable you to select annual crops most suited for your particular area, irregardless of plant hardiness zone, and avoid those that supposedly will mature within your length of growing season, but will not produce for you. It wasn't easy digging up this information and creating the maps, so please stay tuned. It will be beneficial for all gardeners, especially those living in high latitudes and frequently cloudy areas. If you've been gardening for some time, you're probably familiar with these maps. They are the plant hardiness zone maps generated by using the lowest expected winter temperature. It is often assumed that winter minimums is an indication of what the summer will be like in both length and temperature, but that is totally untrue. All plants have a minimum temperature below which they will not grow. At this base temperature, the plant begins to grow. Growth rate and speed of maturity increases as temperature increases. But plants can only grow so fast. The ideal temperature for a plant is one where growth is at its maximum. A few degrees beyond this temperature and the plant begins to exhibit signs of heat stress, such as bolting, wilting of lower leaves, blossom drop, etc. In between this base and maximum temperature is the heat index known as growing degree days or growing degree units. When selecting annual crops, the minimum expected winter temperature is irrelevant, since the crops will not be in the field at that time. What is relevant, however, is the accumulation of growing degree units over the growing season and how fast they are accumulated. If your temperature is less than the ideal but above the base, your plant will still grow and mature. It would just take a longer time to do so. Take my area for a first example. It's USDA Zone 5. It averages 1,259 Celsius GDUs. That's 2,266 Fahrenheit. This is at base 5 degrees Celsius over a 130-day growing season. We receive 561 GDUs at base 10. We also receive only 17 days of hot weather. The south coast of the island, USDA Zone 6, receives 1,085 Celsius GDUs for a base 5 over 140 days and 399 GDUs at base 10 with no hot weather. Where Greg Halton of Maritime Gardening lives is a Zone 6 and receives 1,700 to 1,750 GDUs at base 5 in 136 days. But if you go across the country to Medicine Hat, Alberta, they are a Zone 3 and receives almost 1,800 GDUs. Now, Medicine Hat's high GDUs are over 122 days with 64 hot days, unlike Greg's growing season of 153 days and only 30 hot days. This results in a situation where the people of Medicine Hat area, Zone 3, should be able to grow any annual crop that we can grow here in our Zones 5 and 6. They also have a hot period in which they can grow warm season crops without additional infrastructure. Greg may be able to grow some warm season crops in his garden beds, but it would be difficult. It's no good for me to even try, and the south coast of the island definitely not, even though they are in USDA Plant Hardiness Zone 6. On this map I have placed a line at the approximate location of the 1,200 GDUs. South of this line receives greater than 1,200 during the growing season, and north of it receives less. If you live south of this line, any annual crops that I can grow, you should be able to grow also. Greg Halton said in one of his videos that Zone 6 here must be colder than Zone 6 in the US. For some areas, that is correct. Oklahoma, for instance, a Zone 6 area, receives almost 4,000 growing degree units in Celsius per year. So when you are selecting annual crops, think about not how cold your winter gets, but how warm and how long your growing season is. So that's my talk on growing degree units for this video. What grows here is going to be an ongoing video series where I relay the results of my research and monitoring of plants versus growing degree units. So make sure you're subscribed and click the bell for video notifications. Live green and be nature.